all their gas was running, generating electricity with natural gas or with coal.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sue Kirschman, board member with First Things First Okanagan. We, as you know, are a local nonprofit organization focused on climate action and education. And fellow board member Lori Goldman is here with me too, running the Zoom controls. This is our 39th deep dive, which is hard to believe. The intent of these monthly online webinars is to explore and discuss different climate solutions for our local communities. First Things First Okanagan comes to you from the traditional unceded territory of the Syilx and Similkameen nations. Our communities, the wildlife, waters, and lands of the Okanagan benefit tremendously from the work of the Okanagan Nation Alliance, who are in the forefront of land and river restoration projects. And locally, as some of you may already know, the ONA is working on a salmon passage project on the Okanagan Lake Dam. I think Lori's got a picture there. This is part of a bigger project to help with the return of the historical range of sockeye in the Upper Okanagan watershed in Okanagan Lake and the Skaha Lake systems. We'll post a link in the chat if you want to learn more about that project. Our topic this evening is around home retrofits. There are several reasons for updating homes, which I'm sure our speaker tonight, Amandeep, will explain. Energy efficient buildings use less energy and cost less to heat and cool. They provide greater comfort and healthier indoor air, and they also help reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Our guest speaker is Amandeep Singh, and he has a history of leading innovative projects in a variety of industries, including technology and manufacturing. Since 2020, when he founded the HomeZero Collective, Amandeep and his team have developed a clean energy neighborhoods model to retrofit homes on a neighborhood scale. Amandeep will present this model, explain how homes are retrofitted on a cost-neutral basis, and how the one-stop shop method simplifies what is often a very complicated process. We will be having a Q&A after Amandeep does his presentation. So if you have questions, we'll probably just open it up afterwards because we're such a small group. You don't really need to type them into the chat, or do if you want to remember them. And we will be sending out a follow-up email tomorrow with a video and links to any of the interesting points that come up during the discussion. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Amandeep. Please go
Great.
ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Sue. Hello, everyone. I'm Amandeep Singh from HomeZero Collective. We're based in Vernon, and I'm just wondering where people are from. Are you guys all from Penticton, or are you from different parts of the Okanagan? Let's see if you can just give me a little idea because that actually does help us. Kelowna. Okay.
Hello now.
Kelowna. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Penticton.
Um, Penticton. Nice. Okay, so the reason I asked that question is because we are sponsored by the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, and they are an organization that oversees projects in at the municipal scale. So it helps to understand what municipalities want and the level of interest at the different municipalities when we're working on a project like this. So today I want to talk to you about retrofits and why we want to do retrofits and why I got into it as well, and also like a path how we can do this on a much larger scale. So to begin with, I am a resident of Vernon. I actually don't have a background in clean energy, and I have a computer science background, but I wanted to retrofit my own home. This is a while back when the city of Vernon came out with their climate action plan, and I found that, it was actually complex and expensive. And I just thought to myself, wow, this is quite an undertaking. And if we all need to do this, how will we actually make this happen, right? So from there, along with some of my team members who I met through the city of Vernon, we started to develop a new approach. And that approach, we call it the neighborhood factory model, or another word is clean energy neighborhoods. And I'm going to share that with you today, and as well as some of the work we've done in Vernon. So we'll get started with that. I'll share my screen. Okay, can you guys see my screen right now?
Yes,
Okay.
that's great.
Okay, good. Um, okay, so Clean Energy Neighborhoods, Greater Vernon Area is the title here, just because we have started this in Vernon, and the people here are from Vernon. There's board members, homeowners, city staff, and a student as well. So I've already given you a background about why I got started in this, but a little bit background on HomeZero itself. HomeZero started as a nonprofit organization, and in the future phase, it might need to attract investment, so it will eventually be a for-profit organization. But right now, as we stand, we're a nonprofit. So firstly, why are we doing this? So I've got some images here. It's important to look at this because before you get into anything, it's important to ask that question, why? Right? And this is an image of Kelowna where we had the flooding a few years ago. And here's an image of a fire, the White Rock Lake fire near Vernon, where we almost all got evacuated. And here is a cold snap from 2 winters ago when we had really cold temperatures that just came suddenly and did wreck a lot of the crops. So this the emissions issue or climate change is having a significant impact on our area. So it's important to keep that in mind as to when we are looking at retrofit as to why we're doing this, right? So as I mentioned at the start, HomeZero is backed by the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, and they have already given us about $1 million in funding over the last several years to work on various studies and a pilot project, which I will be telling you about. Here is a statement by the Minister of Environment and Climate Change. They're recognizing our work, which is projects like HomeZero Collectives, Home Retrofitting Program. In the city of Vernon, BC, we are helping Canadians switch to sustainable practices and making their homes more energy efficient. So just a little word from our sponsor. Okay, and the program that we're working with FCM is from the Green Municipal Fund, and it's a large fund that helps municipalities across Canada work on innovative projects that help the environment, help the economy, and so forth. So within the work that we're doing with them, there's a stream called Community Efficiency Financing, and that has a feasibility study, a pilot, and a program design. And their goal is to develop bold, transformative, replicatable projects that can be replicated and implemented in municipalities across Canada. And here is the City of Vernon's climate action plan to help us get to net zero by 2050. And you can see we've got various main initiatives here. And the HomeZero project actually impacts a lot of these initiatives. So whether that's working with the STEP code, creating a retrofit program, encouraging heat pumps, electrifying passenger transportation, all these four categories fall within the work that we're doing. Okay, so the challenges that we are looking to address are high costs. So cost to replace existing systems is high. And the change to get these systems upgraded is actually fairly complex for a person who's not knowledgeable in this area. So these two barriers result in significant obstacles for homeowners to actually do something about the emissions. And this market in terms of HVAC and solar, they're set up for like individual homes. Let's say if there's a furnace that's died or if there's a new build that's going on, but it's not really set up for like large community scale change. So that's where we need a new approach on doing these retrofits. So, as I mentioned at the start, one of the big barriers is cost. So let's say you've got an air source heat pump, solar panels, heat pump, hot water system, and a level 2 EV charging outlet. This package of retrofits would reduce your emissions by 85 to 100%, and it costs around $55,000 in today's market. So this number here, people aren't really looking to spend that when they're thinking about retrofitting their home. So again, a significant barrier. And the solution that we've proposed is that instead of thinking about this on a one home at a time basis, let's think about it on a community scale. So what that means is instead of buying one heat pump to retrofit a home, let's buy a few hundred and operate the operation on a continuous basis, and we can really streamline all the work that's being done without compromising on quality. And this makes it affordable for everybody to participate, as I will show you today. So the idea that we are communicating to people is that instead of thinking about the big number, which is, let's say, 55,000 in this example, let's think about what you are currently spending. Let's say you're spending $280 a month on heating and electricity. Let's say we annualize it, so equal costs. And if we retrofit your home with clean energy systems that eliminate emissions and generate power, we can dramatically lower your energy bill. So let's say bring it down from 280 to about $50, right? So then you use the savings of about 220 to pay off the retrofit, right? So to put it in more concrete terms, let's say we've got 55,000 and HomeZero offers a rebate of 5,000 from an FCM grant. There are government rebates of 16,000, and after the rebates, it's around 34,000. And you amortize that over 15 years with a 4.5% loan. And here's what you get. $274 is your loan payment. $50 a month is your utilities cost. And you add these together, you get 324. So you can see, we started with a fairly large number, and this is where you're currently at. But after the retrofit, you are coming down to around 324, including your utilities and loan payments. So with this model, we're able to make it affordable for a lot of people to retrofit. So to actually put it in very clear value terms, let's say that if you don't do this retrofit, your costs are, let's say, 280 a month, but over time your costs are going to keep going up because cost of utilities goes up. But if you do the retrofit, your becomes more stable because you're paying a loan payment versus utilities. And over time the cost comes down. So let's say in 15 years, it could be just about $60 a month because you've paid off your loan. So overall, the value proposition is that with a retrofit to clean energy, you are protected from rising costs because your loan payments are steady. You've got new equipment, so you don't have to replace your existing furnace or hot water tank. And after your loan is paid off, you're going to be saving quite a bit. So in this example, $4,000 a year, right? So we started, with a roughly cost neutral value proposition. And you can see that you took a little bit of a leap of faith and spent a little bit extra in this example. But over time, your costs are much lower during the 15 years. And after the 15 years are up, your costs are quite a bit lower. So I'm just going to pause over there for a moment just to kind of, touch base if everybody understand this or if you have any questions, because this is really kind of foundational to what we're doing and how we make it affordable for everybody.
I
So
have a question.
yeah,
Sorry. Yeah, so why is the amount coming down each year? That I just didn't understand that bit.
this one on this side.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see over here, $324. This comprises of $50 and $274. This part here is your residual utility payment. So that can be your BC Hydro connection charge or a FortisBC charge. It's a connection charge plus some small amount of utilities being used. This amount can go up slightly over time, but because it's a small amount, it's not going to go up that much. So here you can see it's slightly gone up. But after 10 years, your hot water tank is paid off, so your cost comes down. And then after 15 years, your cost comes down even more because everything is paid off. And now you're just paying the residual utility fee. Now, I just want to point out that this is an example. Your cost could be lower than this or could be a little bit higher. And these are some projections that we do for you. But over time, the costs do come down as you've made the loan payments. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I hadn't realized the water heater would be 10 years before it's paid off. That makes total sense. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah. Any other questions about the financial model? Because, this is really kind of the crux of um, what holds people back, and we want to make this affordable and understandable.
I have a
Uh,
question.
yeah, go
Amandeep,
ahead. Yeah,
I'm listening in very attentively. I just
uh-huh.
have my video off.
Sure.
The model costing that you're describing, does that depend on an aggregate number of homeowners as your collective group?
Yeah, so the pricing that we've shown here, just to make it very, I guess, grounded in reality, is current market pricing, meaning not in high volume, right? So, we did a pilot project just last year, and this is the pricing that the contractors were retrofitting with. But in the next phase, which I'll be telling you more about, where we want to do hundreds of homes, we do expect volume pricing. So yeah,
Oh,
the cost will be lower.
so what you're showing us right now, Amandeep, sorry to
Yeah,
take away from others here, is the pricing for an individual retrofit, individual homeowner
yeah.
retrofit through this program, but not necessarily one that involves, as you are talking, hundreds of homes, because that could be different again, right?
That's right. It could be
Okay,
lower. It could be
yeah,
lower.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, just to kind of keep it very realistic. I'm not going into the pricing in terms of volume just as yet. Yeah, but just keeping it very simple that, okay, with this model, this is what we can do. Great question. Anybody else have a question about the financial model?
Should I ask from the chat or should we,
Sure.
like Henry, do you want to chime in or should I ask the question for you?
Just go ahead, Lori.
Okay, so Henry wrote that the solar panels, heat pump, etc., will be 15 years old when the loan is paid off. What's the expected lifetime of this equipment?
Yes. Okay. So let's get into that next. Okay. So the heat pump hot water system, like typically, the standard answer for hot water tank is 10 years, but often they last longer. And the ones that we installed had a leak guard, meaning that you don't have that leak risk. Heat pump systems, the cold climate air source heat pumps go 15 years. They can even go longer. And then solar panels go 25 years. They come with a warranty of 25 years. They actually go longer than that. But for 25 years, they have a warranty to keep producing at least 80% of what was installed from day one. Right. So quite a uh, product that has quite a bit of longevity. And in the years 15 to 25, you do see significant savings because your loan is paid off. Even if you have a hot water tank replaced, even then you have significant savings, right? So yeah, that's a good question. There is some equipment replacement in the picture.
I have a question about the hybrid electric hot water tank.
Yeah.
Deep hybrid means gas or does it mean heat pump hot water?
Yes, it actually does mean heat pump hot water. This is a typo. I was fixing it everywhere else in the presentation, but I missed this spot. Thanks for pointing that out. The reason some people call it hybrid is because it's a hybrid of electric and heat pump, but not a natural gas hybrid in this case. So I'll get into these pieces of equipment next, and we'll talk about what they are and what they do for us. Okay. So as I mentioned, we completed a pilot project last year, and we retrofitted 11 homes. All of these homes have reduced their emissions 85 to 100%. So that's about 45 tons of emissions reduced annually from these homes. And they've generated significant solar power. Like the average solar system we installed was like 12 kilowatts. So combined, they generated 148,000 kilowatt hours. And three of the homeowners were income qualified, so they received additional rebates as well. And the homes, they were from 1918 to 2012. So quite a wide spectrum of homes. We were able to retrofit like some very old homes and some very new homes as well. So, we did have, I guess, going into the project, we were like, okay, are we going to be doing really old homes? But once we got into it, we found that a lot of times the homeowner has done some upgrades to the home because it's quite old. And in other situations, the homeowner is quite willing to do some additional upgrades to improve the energy efficiency of their home. So yeah, so the pilot project was a super success. Here is one of the families, and they all had a great experience, super smooth, because we do take care of everything beginning to end. And when I say everything, what I mean is, we start with um, a proposal, and that proposal, of course, includes all the things that we're going to change. But then we also include additional incentives, talk about all the existing incentives. And then we take it one step further. We say, okay, based on this retrofit and your current energy usage, we expect your bills are going to be X, right? So you saw that $50 residual, that is an important number because the homeowner is trying to figure out, okay, if I'm making a monthly loan payment with this, what's going to be my energy bill so that I know where I stand on a month-to-month basis before and after the retrofit. So we do take that step to figure those things out for you, which requires a fair bit of thought and expertise. And this, when we do this like whole house package, it makes it much easier for homeowner to say, okay, I understand this and I can take the step with you, right? So, so that is the experience that we look to create for the homeowner so that they understand that we have them taken care of beginning to end. Okay, so as I mentioned, these are the some of the items that we retrofitted in the pilot homes. All of them had solar panels, heat pump hot water systems, electric vehicle charging outlets. Some of them needed insulation and cold climate air source heat pumps. So let's just go into this. So this I already talked to you about just a moment ago, that we coordinate everything beginning to end and we develop a financial outlook, which is a big deal for a homeowner who's about to make a decision. But this is usually not available in the market today. And then we manage the whole process as well. So we start with the home energy audit, which is the inner guide assessment, along with some additional things that we ask the auditor to capture for us. And then we go through a detailed design process so that we understand, what's going to be the best method to retrofit your home. And so typically we'll install a cold climate air source heat pump. This replaces your natural gas furnace, which is a primary source of emissions, and it reduces your emissions 85 to 95%. And these can operate at a very low temperature. They can go to -15, -20, and continue to provide adequate heat in those temperatures for your entire home. And they also cool your home as well. So when the temperature goes below -15 or -20, it comes with a backup system. So that can be a natural gas-based system or it can be an electric system so that we can continue heating your home when it gets really, really cold. So yeah, so this is the main system that reduces emissions from your home and also saves energy. Okay, and then we've got a heat pump hot water system, which I had called the hybrid hot water system. This system is an electric system and it has a heat pump at the top. So this top area here is a little heat pump. And what it does is it extracts the heat from your mechanical room. So let's say, often in a mechanical room, you've got the furnace that's going or heat pumps heat that's going. So it's usually a warmer place. So it extracts that heat and heats up the water using a heat pump. And it's highly efficient. Like you can save 50% or more energy. So it does save a lot of power in the long run. We install solar panels. So, now once you've installed a heat pump and a heat pump hot water system, your natural gas consumption has gone down substantially, but your electricity consumption has gone up if you are switching from natural gas. To bring down the cost of electricity, we install solar panels. And the way this works is, in the summer, when the sun is shining a lot, it's capturing all that light, turning it into electricity, and putting it into your home. If you're not using all the power, it's exported to the grid, and BC Hydro gives you credits. So what that means is when it's nighttime or when it's winter, when you're not seeing a lot of sun, you can use those credits to get power from BC Hydro at a 1-to-1 cost ratio, right? So you give them 1 unit of energy, they give you back 1 unit of energy, and there's no additional cost. So this is like having a free battery, right? And it's a really terrific system that BC Hydro has in place. So using solar panels brings down the cost of electricity over a long period of time. That's what makes it so attractive to include in the retrofit. And a level 2 EV charging outlet. So your vehicle is likely the biggest source of emissions in your life if you don't have an electric vehicle. So, because we're doing this whole house retrofit and we are doing all the calculations and getting your house, electrified, so to speak, it makes sense for us to install a level 2 charging outlet. A level 2, what that means is it's a faster way of charging your car if and when you get an electric vehicle. So instead of just plugging it into a regular 110, it's actually a faster 220 outlet that charges your vehicle just about 4 to 6 hours instead of about 24 hours. So this requires us to make sure that the electrical capacity of your house is adequate to support this. And if it's not, we add something called load management. What that essentially is that if you're running at full capacity, meaning you're using all the capacity in your electrical panel, then the EV charging can be slowed down or stopped until you're using less power. So for example, at night. So this is a low cost addition, but we do include it because it's a big encouragement for homeowners to choose an electric vehicle next. Okay, so before I go to that, any questions on any of the systems that we are installing? Does that all make sense to people? Straightforward? Oh, I think you've got a question, Patrick. You want to unmute? I can't actually hear you. You're muted still. There we go.
Can you participate even if you are able to purchase the equipment without a loan in terms of the analysis, etc., management?
Um, so can you participate without, meaning if you already had the money, you didn't have to take out a loan? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good question. Like in the next phase of our project, taking out a loan is a requirement in order to participate because we give an incentive connected with that. But you can pay off that loan at any time, right? So, because it's called community efficiency financing, everything is done through our lending partner, and a loan is registered or taken out. And once the retrofit is done, you can pay off that loan at any time.
For example, we actually have solar panels, a heat pump. We'd like to get an electric, a hot water, heat
Hot
pump.
water system, yeah.
So if we only wanted that, could we participate?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Yep, for sure.
And are you coming to Penticton
We
soon?
will eventually come to Penticton, yes. Part of our program is to expand to additional municipalities so that lots of people can benefit. And this entire region is certainly in our roadmap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about that next. So we have done 11 homes already, and our next phase, as part of the program that we're in, is to scale this program up. So we're going to be looking to do 500 homes in the Greater Vernon area and beyond. And this will again follow the same methodology that we followed in the pilot, which is this whole house retrofit, targeting cost neutral and making it super streamlined so that it's really easy for homeowners to participate in the program. And we've got fairly strong community support. Like when we completed the pilot project, we had many open houses done. I think 8 or so at the different residents, and lots of people participated in the program, and they agreed to put up signs on their homes to show that they are engaged and interested in what's going on here. We've got endorsements from the City of Vernon, BC Hydro, Community Futures, Fresh Outlook Foundation, SENS, which is the Sustainable Energy Network Society, REMAX, Aboriginal Housing Management, and lots of residents. So we have fairly good community support for the project based on the results from the pilot. Okay, so that's our last slide, which is encouraging you to sign up for our project. We've got a sign up form, and even though you might not be in Vernon, we are looking to expand and show interest from different regions. So it's only 5 fields. You simply fill it out, and then we kind of keep you in the loop as to what's going on. And we hope to service you in your region in the near future. So I'm just going to stop here for a moment and see if anybody has any other questions.
Thank you so much, Amandeep. That's like quite an exciting project, and I'd like to sign up immediately.
She wants the $5,000 rebate.
Oh, I get a
Yes.
$16,000 one because I'm income qualified or whatever they call it now. Avril was asking, has HomeZero Collective ever worked with or thought about doing apartment stratas? I mean,
Um,
you've only done the houses at this point, right?
yes, some of the houses are in stratas. Avril, is your home in like a single family or a townhouse complex, or is it a high-rise building?
Well, I wouldn't actually describe my home, Amandeep, as any of those. Uh, we
Oh,
live
okay.
in we live in a low-rise apartments, but it is owned and it is strata identified.
Right,
So
right.
my concern always with a lot of these programs offering for is that they really target individual homes when multi-residence buildings are what are they called, MERBs or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really could reduce emissions drastically if the targets were only designed for them. And I just have a question about that.
Yes, yes. So, for example, some stratas, they can be townhouses and they have small ACs or furnaces that are individual. If your complex had something similar, that's something that this model can easily handle. But if your complex has like a shared large heating system, then we're getting into more commercial units, and that isn't something that we're tackling on right now, just because the vast majority of the inventory of houses is more of the low rise, single, dual fam or duplex or townhouses, right? But eventually, I hope that we can actually expand to those areas, but that's still a ways off for us.
I have another question myself. Couple. Have you done or thought of doing any mobile homes or modular homes? Um, I was told that I couldn't really get um, a heat pump, hot water heater because of the design of the building. There was nowhere to put it where it would function in the correct way.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I think that the mobile homes have a bit of a different challenge, and also for insulating, they're hard to increase the insulation value.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good question. We haven't directly looked into it in terms of retrofits for our project, but I have seen some projects on BC Hydro site where they involve mobile homes. Our one of our contractors has installed solar on a mobile home, and I think it would probably be a case by case basis where we take a look at, what's the limitation and if that limitation can be overcome. Are you currently heating water with a natural gas hot water tank?
I took it out. I put in just just an electric unit.
Okay.
Because actually the other thing problem I had was the rebate for a heat pump hot water heater was only $1,000, but the unit was $3,000, so I would be out of pocket $2,000, where a new electric hot water heater was only $1,000, and I thought that's not fair. So our system is incentivizing people to retrofit, but when you're low income, the cost to retrofit, even with the rebates, can sometimes be much too high.
Yeah, yeah, actually I have heard that the electric hot water tank, especially the heat pump base, the value they offer with the current market pricing isn't great. 3,000 something to buy it and then to have it installed is coming up to like 5,000 or 5,500. And the energy savings associated with it are actually not that significant compared to the cost of the system. So again, it's just the way the market is. And we're hoping that with higher volume, we can bring down these costs, right? Because they are good systems. It's just the way that our market is working right now, the business model, the costs are quite high. Yeah.
Tracy, did you want to ask a question? Your hand was up.
I was going to let Henry's question be answered first.
Oh, it's in the chat. Sorry, I didn't see that.
Okay. Sure.
Um, he says, how are you being financed? You mentioned a financial partner requires the homeowner to take out a loan. Does the partner hire you as a project manager, or how is it organized? That's a good question.
Yeah, yeah. So we are supported by the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. So we're going to be asking them for a $5 million grant in the next phase. So that is funding to help us run the organization and also to increase the incentives that we're offering to homeowners. And along with that, we will partner with a lending institution to lend homeowners money to make this happen. So that is all kind of streamlined, meaning it's all part of the one single process. And so that's how we get financing organized. And then in terms of actually doing the work, we will be doing the work internally at the start. So, a HomeZero team coordinating all the activities beginning to end while we're getting this project off the ground. Yeah. Does that answer your question? I guess that was from
Henry.
Henry. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he says, who is we? Is it the group of volunteers? Because you're the Home Zero Collective, and you hire contractors and workers, right? And then you have designers.
Yeah, yeah. So in the pilot project, that's how we ran the project, where HomeZero Collective coordinated with a number of contractors and got the process streamlined so that the homeowners have a good experience. But in the next phase, where we're talking larger scale, we're going to bring a lot of those in-house, right? That's where the $5 million grant comes in. And this further allows us to bring down costs and streamline operations. Because a lot of times, the way that the industry is set up, they're doing new builds or going to many different areas all over the region and so forth. Whereas we really want to streamline it down where we're going to be going in the same area so that it's geographically simplified and really focusing just on retrofits, not onto new builds. So, bringing this in-house is going to save us a lot, and we're going to be able to pass that off to homeowners.
Mm-hmm. Tracy was asking, who is the lender? Is it a credit union or a standard bank?
So right now we're in negotiations with a credit union because we haven't actually signed anything yet. So I can't really say who that is, but yeah, we are negotiating with a credit union. It's part of the program, the community efficiency financing, that we have a lending partner in place.
Great.
What about your eligibility for a loan? Is there a ceiling, or are they checking your credit rating? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the FCM program wants to make it easy for people to get loans as long as they've got a reasonable credit rating, right? And the way they increase the pool of participants is by de-risking some of the loans. So FCM has a loan loss reserve so that, in case there's a worst case scenario, for example, something happens to a homeowner and they can't pay their loan anymore, and they can't recover, the credit union can't recover it, well, then they can come to us and say, oh, we've got this issue. Can you help us out? So that loan loss reserve comes into play. So when you de-risk the loans this way, it makes it easier for credit union to lend money because their risk is substantially lowered, right? So that's all part of the community efficiency financing program, where we help the credit union to make the program a bit broader so everybody can participate while reducing their risk.
Thank
Does
you.
that answer your question, Patrick?
Most of it, yes. If I wanted to say I'm just being silly, but say 1,000 solar panels, because I lived in a warehouse or something like that. Um, is there a limit to solar panels, for example? I mean, aside from the limitations of the structure itself, is that what the limit is?
Um, so let's say you had a really large home, for example, right? A really large roof. We actually had a homeowner in a pilot who had a really big roof. You can put a lot of solar panels on by adding something called a line side connection, which essentially means that instead of the solar power going through your electrical panel, it goes directly to the grid and it earns you credits immediately, and then you use those credits. It's a slightly different pathway for the power to go. And with that, you're not really limited. Like it's quite a large limit at that point.
Okay.
So yeah, so you can put quite a few panels on your roof if you wanted.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Avril has a question.
Right. Thanks, Lori. I'm trying to wrap my head around this, Amandeep, and I I understand your project to be kind of like the managing of all of the various parts of the retrofit itself. But I wonder if if ever your project gets involved in bulk purchasing of the actual materials, say the heat pumps themselves or the solar panels, so that those people participating in the program would always have the same sort of heat pump place to place to place to place, because the program actually is doing a sort of bulk purchasing. But maybe that's not how it works. Maybe I don't have it correctly in mind, but can you tell me anything about that?
Yeah, meaning, yeah, that is how it works. But I guess, are you saying that if if you wanted a different heat pump, for example, but no, fundamentally that's what it is. Like we're going to consolidate the procurement so that we can bring down the cost and
Right,
pass that on to the homeowner.
right. And so And so and does that consolidation also extend to installers where, you work with the same companies all the time so that they themselves are part of and have agreed to the program, as it were?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I fully understood what it was you were describing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks.
Okay, Tracy, sorry I missed you.
No, it's okay because mine's not, it's a little offside. I'm just wondering, I've mentioned HomeZero Collective to City of Kelowna environmental staff. And I'm just wondering whether they have in fact been in touch with you at all.
I did have a meeting with the environmental staff a few years ago, so I'm not sure if this was a more recent thing, but yeah, we've had a meeting a few years ago now. Yeah.
Okay, because they did a study and actually looking at what you've said, your study goes outside of what they were looking at. They were looking at interviewing people who had electric heat pumps or hybrid. Like when you say hybrid, yeah, that one slide where you'd had hybrid, I think the general understanding and the general thinking is that that means it's gas, methane
Yeah.
gas and electric. So no one would think of it heat pump. So the study interviewed people who had a heat pump, and it didn't matter whether it was a all electric or a hybrid. And I feel like my memory is that if people did more than a heat pump, then they weren't really included in the study because you couldn't just they had other retrofits done as well, so you couldn't isolate how much savings the heat pump was. But I
Yeah.
did mention for them to contact you, and sort of see what the results were from the people that have already done the pilot project with you. And I invited them to the event tonight, but of course they can get the recording. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I guess just in regards to the energy savings, we did install energy monitoring equipment at every home. So we're able to determine at the appliance level, meaning the heat pump or the hot water system or the solar or whatever else, as to how much energy that particular appliance is consuming. So we can, say, okay, this is what they were projected to consume, and this is their actual, right? So even though we've had multiple retrofits done, we are able to isolate, what has been the impact of each appliance.
Great.
Well, might be worth you all getting in touch with Chris Ray and Todd Brunner.
Yeah, yeah, if
Share,
they're
share this,
interested in data.
share this with them. I have another question. Penticton is one of the 5 BC communities that owns their own utility. So that's Summerland, Penticton, Nelson, New Westminster, and another one.
Grand Forks.
Grand Forks, thank you. And
Right,
so we're not part of BC Hydro.
right.
And Fortis is actually providing the electricity for the city, but the city manages the utilities here.
Okay.
And someone did mention that they don't actually want to have so many solarized homes or even a microgrid because of income loss or change in the city's income because they use that. They use our electricity payments here to help fund other things.
Right.
So that might make a program like this not as easy for our city to accept.
Right, right. Yeah, no, that's a really interesting viewpoint. It may very well be the case, that financially this one isn't in their best interest. But I guess another viewpoint to look at is, from a utility viewpoint, for example, BC Hydro, right? They have a huge footprint and they've got this really big solar and battery rebate. And the way they think about things is that if other people are bringing power generation to the grid, for example, with solar, then that means that that is less power that they have to generate themselves. And as the demand for electricity grows, they have to bring in infrastructure to do that, and that can be quite expensive. So for BC Hydro, like a utility of that scale, it makes sense to actually encourage other people to bring on additional power. So, depending on electricity costs in the future and the needs from the city, the city might change their mind. But just from a bigger perspective, there's different ways of thinking about it. So are people allowed to have solar or
Yes,
yeah,
they are,
okay,
and they're into the grid, and so they do get their
right.
whatever it's called.
Yeah, they get their credits.
They
Yeah.
get their credits. Um, and so we do have homes, like Patrick's home is in town, is in Penticton. How many solar panels do you have, Patrick?
18.
18, but that's pretty good. And so we know other people around here, and then of course in the outside of town who do have solar panels on. And I had investigated that for my mobile home when I first moved in. My electricity usage is so low that the solar panel installer said that I would like
Not benefit.
not benefit. But it wasn't really about financial that I was interested. It was more about reducing my carbon footprint by having them and being generating power. So it was more ideological rather than financial for me.
Yeah, yeah, that's really interesting. Um, yeah, I guess maybe I wonder if there's smaller systems that are not so expensive because I do see some people just even use one or two solar panels even, right? On their roof or if they've got a small setup.
I tell you, it's very, very difficult. And I have wanted to get heat pumps and get off gas for a long time. And I found trying to do the energy coach with the Clean BC and going through all of the different estimates that I got, which were very high. I've got a 1,300 square foot mobile home, and I was quoted $20,000. This was a couple of years ago,
Wow.
$20,000 for a heat pump.
Right.
And I think that's wrong. When we have a person who's in the Nanaimo Climate Action Hub who took umbrage and said that the costs are we're being gouged. And so he found a contractor who would give him a wholesale price plus for his heat pump and then just the labor to install it. And with his rebates and federal rebate, he only spent $1,400 on a
Yeah.
big system. He was quoted up to $35,000 for his heat pump system. And
Yeah.
it's very difficult for us to navigate. You're kind of a collective or you're kind of an organization coming and helping somebody to retrofit is just, I think it's just brilliant.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's really, it's really one of the most challenging problems we've had, like climate, for example. And by working together, like bringing all the parties on the table, that's government, banks, manufacturers, then we can see some sort of a path forward. Because when you have a bigger problem, you need more people to be collaborating, right? And when that happens, then we can have great results.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
It's a complex problem, and yeah, it's a really um, interesting and very creative model that you've come up with. I think it's 8 o'clock, but we'll just take Tracy's question, and then just before we wrap up, I think.
sure.
Yeah, see, you mentioned when the question came up about having like loads and loads of solar panels, about them being side by side and connecting directly to the grid. But if you've only got a few solar panels, um, will you be using the power from your own solar panels instead of it going to the grid and you getting it from the grid?
Yeah, that's right. That's a
Right.
standard way of doing it,
Right. Okay.
where it
Thanks.
just
Yeah.
goes to your panel first. Yeah. And then excess goes to the grid. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
The way our panels are set up is that when we charge our electric vehicle, any solar energy that we're generating is dedicated to that charging the vehicle.
Right.
So, in fact, when we get our detailed monthly account from the city, the the savings that we accrue from charging our vehicle are not reflected in that cost and what we put into the grid. So
Right.
so that is a hidden savings that that we enjoy, I guess you would say. Um,
Yeah, that is
so
the most cost-effective way when you can just directly take the solar and put it into your battery.
yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Is your car plugged in during the day? Is that a pretty common
Well,
scenario?
we usually plug it in, during the day. It depends, of course, on how much we need to charge. We usually charge Sue knows this because we're working on a presentation, but we would charge it perhaps once a week. Um, I charged it because we spent the weekend in Osoyoos, so I mean we didn't have that far to go, but you just always want to have enough energy. And we didn't actually charge it while we were there. We didn't drive it that much. So it depends on locally we really only need to charge if we're traveling locally, we only need to charge once a week
Right.
because
Oh,
we're not driving to work or we're not driving to Kelowna or Vernon. I mean, we have done that in the past, and then of course you need to charge more.
yeah.
Well,
Great.
thank you so much, Amandeep. That was so interesting. And we will be talking to our local staff in Penticton and Summerland, and I'm sure Tracy will be bringing it back to Kelowna folks. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, we'll
absolutely.
certainly.
Right now, we're just getting started with a few months of community engagement. So we're going to be talking to lots of people about this. And if you can introduce us to other people, we'd greatly appreciate it. I've got a link if you're interested in the program where you can fill out the form and just express your interest. I'll send that to you, Lori, and maybe you can send it to the people on this call. And yeah, and hopefully we will get to your area from not too far in the future.
Oh, we want you to open a branch plant right away.
Okay.
Thank you very
Sounds
much.
great.